Thanks for
All
joining
right.
us. I'm here with Jesse Powell from Kraken, the CEO. Jesse, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Jesse Powell, co-founder and CEO of Kraken. Kraken is a digital asset exchange. We started in 2011, so the company is about 9.5 years old now. So one of the veterans of the crypto space. We're about 1,300 people now. We trade 50 plus different assets all over the world. Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. So tell us about your Bitcoin related products and services that you offer to corporations.
So, I mean, it's pretty much, one of the great things about crypto is that it's a very kind of flat structure. Pretty much everyone has access to all the same stuff. There aren't like various layers of, there are only like 10 guys with a seat at the exchange, for example. All the retail consumers are trading directly on the exchange. So what's available to institutional that might be kind of like above and beyond what the normal client would get would be white glove service, someone to call 24/7, 365, potentially a credit line, potentially in advance of funds, or some kind of float, reduced confirmation times on crypto deposits. Basically the tier for the bar for getting verified at the institutional level is obviously much higher than a retail client. So generally, the more we feel like we can trust you, the more we're willing to extend credit or reduce confirmations and things like that.
Okay. Do you want to describe your customer base, like especially any corporate clients? And, who would you say your reference customers? What kind of business do they do with you?
Sure. Definitely the largest group is retail, but institutional clients are a huge part of that. I would say earlier days, it was more hedge funds, prop shops, guys that are just trading crypto on maybe all the exchanges. Lately, it's been more, I would say, more traditional sort of institutions that are interested in taking a buy and hold position in Bitcoin. They may be publicly traded companies who see what's happening with the U.S. dollar and want to hedge against that, or diversify their balance sheet. So I would say it's more of that lately, actually, like less speculative, less of the market makers, and more just kind of like the buy and hold who see Bitcoin as a piece of their portfolio long term.
Okay, so for those customers, can you tell us a little about where is Kraken licensed and what jurisdictions you do business in?
Yeah, all over the world, the United States, Canada, UK, Japan, UAE. I'm probably forgetting some, but those are just places with licenses. We're doing business all over the world. I mean, in all but a few sanctioned countries, basically. So we take clients from everywhere. We've got bank accounts all over the world. One of the great things about crypto is it trades 24/7, 365. And having bank accounts in different geographies actually is a great thing to have, because you obviously have clients in different parts of the world. You may not want to wait an extra day to settle or to fund your account. So that's been key to our success. I think it's also potentially something that institutions may not be used to, is not having these like market hours where things are closed after a certain time, where you can just go to sleep and forget about it. Crypto is trading around the clock. So I think I think to have conviction in your position, or to set up automated trading in order to manage your position while you're sleeping, because the markets are just operating around the clock.
What's it like being CEO of a company that trades a product 24/7, 365? What are the working hours of the team, or you? Do you have shifts or anything, or how do you
Well,
manage
yeah, I
all that?
mean, some guys have shifts. So I'd say like the customer support team has shifts. Some of like the DevOps guys, they're running the infrastructure, have shifts where people are on call. We have regularly scheduled maintenance every Saturday for about 5 minutes. We go down to do some upgrades. But that's about it. Yeah. I mean, it's from the beginning, we had to build it this way. There's not like, so nice about for the centralized equities exchanges is that they basically have a monopoly on the asset that they're trading. If they go down, there aren't other markets around the world that are continuing to trade this asset.
They can take a breather.
Exactly.
You can't.
Right. If Kraken's down, people are saying, hey, there's 20 other exchanges where this is still trading. What's going on? I need to trade to keep up with what's happening. So the 100% uptime thing was just something we had to do from the beginning. All the crypto exchanges do it. We don't get much sleep. Everyone's on call all the time. It's definitely not a job to take. If you're looking for a guaranteed 9 to 5, I tell people like, look, if you want that, go take a job at the DMV. This is, bleeding edge technology. We're paving the way for the future here. So people love it.
Yeah, it's just really amazing. So let's talk about the typical customer journey. Okay. Yeah, I'm a corporation. I want to do business with your firm. What's it like to onboard? What requirements do you have for me? How long is it going to take? What kind of challenges do they face? How do you coach them through that?
Yeah. So if you apply as a corporation, you'll be assigned basically someone to walk you through the process of getting onboarded. You'll get a document to fill out, which will ask for all the standard corporate documentation, like as if you were going to open a bank account, very similar, or a brokerage account for your corporation. So it'll be stuff like who's the ultimate beneficial owner, a name and birthday and corporate tax ID and, all the normal stuff. We'll ask for proof of residence, photo IDs, all that kind of stuff. Usually, where it can get hairy is where someone has got a corporation in, some exotic location where, no one else is running a company. And, as you can imagine, we're dealing with clients all over the world. Sometimes we see, really strange situations. I mean, the availability of data varies all over the world, and the corporate documents vary all over the world. So sometimes we have to go and do a bit of research to find out, like, is this corporation in Myanmar or whatever, like even legit, is this like how the documents actually look? So it's tough, but we've got a really great team of people all over the world. Our support team speaks 20 plus languages. So we feel really good about being able to try to get everyone into crypto and ultimately being able to onboard, any legit company.
Okay. So let's talk about Bitcoin. What's your outlook for the Bitcoin marketplace for the coming 1 to 3 years?
I'm like really bad at predicting the price. I probably, if I were better at this, I would not have sold any Bitcoin, 9
Don't
years ago.
sell your Bitcoin.
Don't sell. That's the first rule. Yeah, I probably should have sold my kidney and bought more Bitcoin back in the day. I think with all the growth that we're seeing, the exchange volumes are up across the board. The signups are up across the board. Just last week we had our all-time high day that beat our last all-time high day by like 5x. So
whoa, really?
Yeah. I mean, the growth has been insane lately. It seems like, and also just all the stuff happening with Wall Street bets and with the traditional brokerages. And I think people seeing that the existing system for equities just like isn't transparent. I mean, it's really advantageous to the little guy. I think people are suddenly seeing crypto, these guys who've been trading stocks as maybe a more fair asset to trade. It's also incredibly volatile, which traders seem to like. So I think we've seen a ton of people come in from that. I think we're also just seeing a flood of institutional investors come in. The halving, has just occurred. Historically, there's been a bit of a slump between the halvings, toward sort of the end. So I would say like 3 years out, we may continue up for a while and then we may come down a bit and then back up, I would say, like following the next halving. But I think we're easily going to cross $100,000 in this next cycle.
Did you get a bunch of new accounts after this Wall Street bets like debacle, or do you think is it driving any additional retail accounts into the space?
Yeah,
What's
absolutely. Yeah, we saw a direct response to that. Yeah, massive spike in retail account openings following that, just like in the last week. Lots of people signing up to trade Dogecoin. So if you want to trade Dogecoin or Doge stocks, dog stocks, you can do it on Kraken.
So you have your finger on the pulse in a way, because you can see day by day as people are setting up accounts or they're acting, you can see their reaction to the macro economy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty interesting to watch, and not just to the macro economy, but in specific regions as well. Like several years ago, Cyprus gave every bank account holder a haircut on their accounts, and we saw
Right.
like loads of people coming in from Cyprus to buy Bitcoin at that time, to escape that. So it kind of gives you, like, you see these little blips happen, and you see, and you'll look like, oh, like, why are we getting all these account signups from Myanmar, for example? Like, what's happening there? And then you look, and sure enough, there's like a coup or something going on.
So your signups are like a referendum on bank confidence or confidence in the existing status quo.
Yeah, I think so. You can certainly look at it that way.
Whoa. Okay, so we got a bunch of corporations here with us today. What advice would you give to a corporation that's looking to integrate Bitcoin either into its P&L or into its balance sheet?
I think depends on how you want to structure this. I think dollar cost averaging in is a great way to get in if you're not sure about kind of like when to time the market. But certainly doing it now, is better than forgetting about it, kind of getting stuck in a decision trap, where you're trying to make up your mind for 5 years. So, I think it's very hard to time the market, but if you're willing to hold for 5+ years, I think you're basically guaranteed to make money. So I think the main thing is just to get in, learn about the technology. Obviously, there are a lot of things, a lot of scary things that are being said about crypto on a daily basis. You hear FUD like the Bitcoin price is entirely driven by Tether, or there are double spends on the Bitcoin network, or if you just don't understand the fundamental technology or you don't have conviction, you may just sell based on some news. And let me tell you, like, the journalists that cover crypto largely just do not understand crypto, and some are just incredibly bearish on it. So I think if you're taking the position that this is something you want to hold, have some conviction in it, commit to holding it for at least 5 years. And you can buy it on Kraken. You can set up an account yourself and do it that way. Kraken also has an OTC desk where, you can just get on the phone and talk to someone and send a wire transfer and, receive your Bitcoin in the same day, very easily. If you don't want to custody the Bitcoin yourself, Kraken's got a flawless track record with security. You can keep the Bitcoin on your Kraken account. We've got, a lot of advanced security that will protect your Bitcoin. We can also, our OTC guys and our account managers can help you even set up your own self-custody solution if you want to do that. So we've got a lot of resources for institutions or anyone looking to get into Bitcoin. Kraken's a great place to start. Reach out to me or our OTC desk, and we'll be happy to help.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't want, we don't really want corporations to buy Bitcoin on a whim. You want to actually know why you're buying it, because otherwise you'll read some FUD and you'll sell it. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess in the extreme, we've got the Dave Portnoy's who he buys a stock on a Wednesday morning. He gets panicked and he sells it on Thursday morning, and then he loudly tweets about it. Like we just saw one company that will remain nameless that bought Bitcoin and then dumped it because they thought there was a double spend. And then they put out a press release about how they did it. And it's, you just shake your head.
Unbelievable.
Like, don't do that. Do you see any companies pursuing strategies to differentiate their offerings with Bitcoin? Have you, or what's your view on that?
Do you mean like they're selling
like companies that are actually integrating Bitcoin into their product to try to grab market share from another company, like maybe a fund or insurance company?
Well, I mean, we see PayPal doing that. PayPal I think they support 5 different cryptos. Those cryptos are coming to Venmo soon. Cash App supports Bitcoin. Robinhood
we'll see more of
a bunch of cryptos. Yeah, I do. I think it's going to become to remain competitive, and I think we're eventually going to see crypto start to appear in point of sale terminals as well. So I think in order to keep up, everyone's going to have to do it. Obviously, more, Bitcoin is the currency of the world. So it's just inevitable to support it everywhere.
So there's two different models here. One model, I just buy $100 million worth of Bitcoin, put it in my treasury, and I drop it to cold storage, and I forget about it. And that one probably requires like an OTC desk,
Right.
or something. Like, I'm going to wire you 100 million and say, buy me at this price, or somehow. And then
Mhm.
the other is, I need to synchronize 27 million accounts every day, buying and selling as they deposit or withdraw. And that requires some kind of gateway or API or something.
Right.
Um, does Kraken offer services for one or the other? Or what kind of capabilities do you really need to be able to do this stuff?
Yeah, well, if you were, say, a PayPal and you didn't want to actually create an order book, exchange for yourself, you just wanted to give people, you could either just give them price exposure to Bitcoin, and you could hold the Bitcoin on the back end, or you could give them real Bitcoin, allow them to buy it, and in which case, you have to source that Bitcoin from somewhere, probably from an exchange like Kraken, or from various OTC brokers. Some of these brokers, like Robinhood, for example, are probably sourcing coins from an OTC broker, or a few, maybe a handful. They're getting quotes from. So you can do it either way. You could, Kraken has an API. You can plug in directly to Kraken's API. You can trade. If you wanted to, you could manage through one account trades that are sort of, as a proxy happening on all of your clients' individual accounts, and you manage that through your own service. Or you basically just buy Bitcoin in batches or something, once a day. You say, like, how much do we think we're going to sell? Okay, buy 1,000 coins, and then you
Okay.
distribute it, you sell it throughout the day, sort of as if you were, like a grocery store or something. You go to the farmer in the morning, pick up your milk, and then you sell it throughout the day. There are a few different approaches to doing it. Obviously, being able to buy it on demand from the exchange directly as you're selling it, reduces your exposure. But a few ways to do it.
Okay. So how do you compare your firm to other vendors in the space? And, how should we think about Kraken? You have a specialty?
Uh, yeah, well, I'd say security is the thing that we thought of first when we were building the exchange. Just because we were coming out of, back in June of 2011, the largest exchange at the time, Mt. Gox, got hacked, and we saw that there have been several other exchange hacks throughout time. So we just felt like when we started the exchange, this industry was going to be heavily targeted by hackers. That goes for all of our clients as well. We try to warn them, like, be extremely careful about your holdings, because this is like the best thing you could steal. People are going to be coming after you from all angles.
What do you see as the key elements of security, or things that either customers need to do, or you encourage them to do, or you do on their behalf to make them more secure?
Cold storage setups are high up there on the list. We pride ourselves in our security, but we're a centralized custodian. Ultimately, we could be hacked just like any bank could be robbed. We can also receive government orders, and it happens all the time, where a government says, hey, freeze that guy's account. We're interested in this guy. So depending on how much you trust your government, there are a lot of untrustworthy governments in the world. You may not want to leave your coins somewhere where they're kind of subject to government control. If you withdraw them and you put them in your own cold storage, then it's just on you. You control your keys. So other than that, being extremely careful about just who you tell about your Bitcoin holdings. And obviously, if you're a publicly traded company, if it's material, you probably need to disclose that. But if you're an individual or you're a small fund, you may not want to disclose that. You may not want to publicly talk about how you're holding all this Bitcoin unless you feel extremely confident in your own security. And the kinds of attacks we see are like spear phishing attacks. People may not even attack you directly. They might hack your grandma's email account, send you an email from your grandma's email account saying, hey, like, would you open this file? And then, your computer's taken over and your coins are gone. So the segregation piece is really important. Like, don't keep all your coins on the same computer that you're browsing the web with on a daily basis. It's one of the great things about Bitcoin is you just don't have to trust someone else with the custody. But like I said, if you don't trust yourself, and a lot of people don't, I think Kraken's a pretty good place to keep it. And there are other crypto custodians out there as well.
Okay. So tell us about your product plans for the future. What's your vision for the firm?
So a lot of stuff we want to do. We've just rolled out a retail app. It's coming to the United States very soon, but it's available in the rest of the world. We have a pro trading app that's available everywhere. Some of the things we plan to support eventually in the retail app are peer-to-peer payments, basic, kind of merchant services, sort of the full suite of like retail financial products. Staking is coming to the mobile app. One of the cool things about crypto is just there are all these yield opportunities, and if you're doing it yourself, like, you should be careful because there are a lot of dangerous yield opportunities in DeFi. But with the exchange, we offer a staking service. We can stake funds for clients. Some coins are yielding 12% returns a year. So I think we're going to go deeper into DeFi. We're going to engage more in some of these smart contracts, lending contracts. There are all sorts of great things coming out of DeFi. So we're going to go deeper into DeFi and try to expose DeFi for our clients and give them access to it, in kind of a non-technical, less complicated way. We're expanding even further internationally with our banking coverage, localization. We may eventually get into other asset classes. We're doing FX markets already for several currencies. So, I think what we've seen in the traditional markets lately, I think has shown that there's obviously some demand for a better way to trade securities. And I think the existing system is broken in a lot of ways. And I don't think it's because of technical challenges. I think it's mostly regulatory challenges or regulatory capture by the people who control the technology right now. So whether that is changeable in the United States, I don't know. But maybe we ought to look at building an alternative system for an international exchange that is based on crypto. Based on full bearer assets and tokenization, and the retail customer having a direct seat like at the exchange. So that's the kind of stuff we've been thinking about lately. But the world of financial services is big, and the world of crypto is so deep and growing so fast. We're just having trouble figuring out what do we want to do, because there's just so much to do. So by the way, if anyone's looking for a job, we're hiring for about like 100 different roles. So we'd love to have some help.
Okay. So we're almost out of time now. So I guess my last question would be, do you have any general advice or final thoughts for corporations that are thinking about Bitcoin in the year 2021?
Make sure you've got some Bitcoin sooner than later. Don't wait for the price to get to $1 million a coin. There's some guys we've talked to who, at $5, they were saying, "Oh, Bitcoin's too expensive. I missed the boat. I should have bought it 50 cents." And then they said it again at 500, and they said it again at 5,000, and it's just like, Bitcoin is not like a stock. It conceivably could replace all of the world's money, which would give it a market cap, in the trillions and trillions. And at some point you start looking at the dollar and you're like, okay, is Bitcoin going up or is the dollar going down? And at some point, if you're measuring it against the dollar could go to zero at some point, right? And then Bitcoin's at infinity. So I would just say, like, get in. Don't wait on the sidelines. Find a way to get in. Hold it for the long term. Don't think about selling it. Get it into cold storage. Stop waiting around.
Okay, good words of wisdom. Thanks for joining me today, Jesse. It's been
absolutely. Thanks for having me. Great boat.
Bye.